Hmm. What up? Sorry for the delay, guys. I'm fixing this light still. As you can tell, I'm not a morning person. Let's see here. Look better? I still look too blown out. Hey, two favorite people are here. Don't tell Long Rider I told you guys that. Can y'all hear me? Y'all good? Am I good audio? This should be a pretty neat live stream, I hope. Hello. I think that is Vietnamese. Basa? All good. Thanks, Robert. Basa? Come here really quick. It's my wife. I'm calling her over really quick. Can you come here? Just really quick. You don't have to. Yeah. It's okay. Just look over. You don't have to. Come here. Because I want you to read this. Come here. You can say, this is my wife, Thuy.
Hi.
Is this Vietnamese name or no?
Yeah, Mẫn Tuệ. Yeah.
Mong Thai. Okay. All right. Mong Thai. Cool. I don't know if you know them, but they're Vietnamese.
Say hello.
Hello. Xin chào. Hey, John. Yeah, let's get to it. Your dog's begging. You can take the dog out. You don't have to just wait for me to get the dog to take out. I mean, I'm not a monster. I mean, I'm not like an openly monster. Okay, so I'm going to kind of let people pour in. Hopefully we can get some people in here. As far as to talk about the main topic here about this Canon EOS R1. I personally think that it is going to be coming out in 2022, and I think there's good reason to believe that. From the article that I've read from Canon Rumors, they seem to have it as a CR2 that they believe it's coming out too, or at least there's evidence that it's coming out. It's kind of a little ambiguous of whether the CR2 is talking about the lens or talking about the R1, but they were kind of confused on why it would be coming out this year, and I think there's a really good reason, and some of you may have already heard it, but we can discuss it more fully. If you're here and you don't mind, hit that thumbs up, and let's try to get this out to a couple more people. How are y'all doing this morning? Appreciate you. How we doing? So John, how's New York? Robert, I'm not sure if I know where you're from. If you want to share, welcome to share. Let's see here. Go ahead and be pulling this article up here. All right. Nope, that's not supposed to happen. All right. Let's see here. Can we see this? Are we good on the screen here? Okay. So it looks like we got 5 people here in the live stream, but not many people want to talk to me today. So we can keep this conversation going if y'all want to go right into the main topics, or do y'all want to talk about a few different things first? Y'all let me know. We can start talking. Is there anything that's interested you guys this week? I was going to talk more about the Sony a7R5, and a lot of the people that, it wasn't that big of a video, but the people that did see the Sony a7R5 video, they said that they would be fairly disappointed if a Sony did not go with a higher sensor than what was in the R5, that they think that they definitely need to be doing an upgrade. Personally, I'm not sure if that's the case, but we can kind of get a discussion going about that first while people pour in before we start talking about the big dog here, the Canon EOS R1. Sorry, my voice is kind of going out. Or I guess it's not warmed up yet. Let's go with that. I'm going here to. I'm trying to pull up the. I'm trying to pull up Sony rumors, and so we can get that in front of us and go over what they have about the Canon or about the Sony R5. Are y'all here? Can anybody hear me? Okay. I do not believe the Canon R5 rumor at all. Okay. So, what makes you believe or not believe, Robert? I mean, I'm not saying that it's a trustworthy rumor at all. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, and I know that it seemed very detailed to not be true. But at the same time, it kind of seems it seemed very detailed to not be true. But they even said that there wasn't a great source for it, so it was kind of a little bit odd to me. John says, let's talk about the Canon EOS R7 5 61 megapixel is plenty in my opinion. The overall rumors appear to be relatively positive upgrade, but not revolutionary by today's standards. Some of the rumors' specs contradict each other. The details did not add up. Yeah, 61 megapixels to me still works. That was a fairly impressive sensor when it came out. And Sony tends to keep sensors moving, or at least keep the same sensor in a couple of their camera lines. So like the if I'm not, well, not always. So maybe I'm being misspeaking, but I'm pretty sure the Canon EOS R2 and R3 had the same sensor in it. The A9 and A9 Mark II had the same sensor in it. Obviously, the APS-C sensor got passed around way too many times. So it's possible that they would use that same sensor, especially because there's not necessarily a problem with that sensor. My shock, it didn't make sense to me. If you're going to be adding that more impressive processor to it and you're able to get, like, why would you not be able to speed up the actual frames per second? And it was more focused on video too. That was really confusing. So, what are the details that didn't add up to you, Robert? Should I call you Bob or Robert? I'm going to try to get here so I can check the audio. I feel like there's a big delay in time. I keep calling the Sony camera. Yeah, that happens. I feel like there's a big delay in time here. Sorry, guys. I'm checking my phone because I don't know how long the delay is from when I'm talking to when I'm actually messing up. Good morning, Mr. Cryer. Hit me with that unfiltered camera knowledge. Okay, Robert, go ahead, hit him. Yeah, there is a delay. Okay. Yeah, it feels a little longer than usual. Usually that's what she said. Uh, it it feels yeah, it feels a little, yeah, the delay seems like it's going a little bit longer than usual. Like usually I say something and it's about maybe a 5 second delay max, but now it feels like, I don't know, like a 25 second delay. So it feels like I ask a question and I'm just sitting here for a second. Okay. So John says the sensors should be BSI or stacked or both. Yes, there's a delay. So as far as the BSI and stacked sensor goes, I've heard many times, and it's an easy confusion to make. But as far as I know, Sony does not use the stacked sensors very often. Apparently, they're very costly. It seems like, at least. Maybe it's getting cheaper, the technology, but as far as I know, in their full frame cameras, it's only been the A9 1, 2, and A1 that's had stacked sensors. I think the RX8 or whatever it was, the point and shoot camera, I think it has a stacked sensor as well. But if I'm not mistaken, that is the only stacked sensors they've used. As far as backside illuminated, yeah, I'm sure. What I would like to see in the Canon, or gosh, I do keep mixing up the Canon and Sony. What I'd like to see in the A7R5 is them bringing whatever that stacked technology was to be able to double the saturation of light, because essentially, say we have a 75 megapixel or whatever, 100 megapixel camera, then you would, and theoretically be able to get 50 megapixel worth of low light out of a 100 megapixel camera, which would be nuts, would be insane. So, Robert M, 26 megapixel APS-C, it should be the same as the A7R4. It is. I looked that up. It is the same. 26 megapixel is the crop mode of the A7R4. I can look that up again, but I just looked it up yesterday because you said that, and I thought, oh, I'm pretty positive that is the case. Let me go to here, screen share. Let's see here. Okay. A7R4 crop mode. Why did I go 5? A7. Okay. Using crop mode. So here we are. F stoppers. I mean, we can go. I think we can just get it from the headlines. I'm pretty sure. So I saw it at a couple different places. I think F stoppers had it, but I don't have to go all the way down. Let's see here. Come on. It is 20. I looked it up yesterday. Can't find it today, of course. Multi-shift. Crop mode. Here we go. 26 megapixels right here. Crop mode outputs at 26 megapixel images. And I looked it up at multiple places. It wasn't just them. Okay, so John says if the Sony A7R5 uses the same chassis as the A7R4, would higher video performance pose overheating problems? I don't think so. I don't know, but I think the A7R4 chassis is kind of the same. It has the same like body grip and like basic size as the new A7 or A1 and A7S3. But the A7S3 and the A1 both have that heat distribution, whatever it is, and they do not really have much problems with overheating. I know the Sony A7S3 doesn't. I mean, I'm sure in any scenarios you can get some. The A1 can have some overheating, but it's minimal. And I'm not really sure what the bit rate's going to be on it. if it's going to be in 422 or 420. So I don't know 100% if that makes a difference, or it could be 8-bit. That wouldn't shock me if the 8K is in 8-bit, and then they bring, they have a 4K 10-bit mode, but the 8K is in 8-bit. I wouldn't be shocked at that at all. That sounds like something Sony would do to cripple it. That sounds like a cripple hammer that Sony would bring down. So we're getting a few people in here. Let me know when y'all want to jump over to this Ace A1, or we can talk. Let's see what else we got. Has there been any news in particular that y'all have seen this week that y'all are interested in going over? Anything coming from Sony or Canon or Nikon, I guess, or Pentax? As far as Sony goes, I'm kind of shocked. I feel like in some ways, Sony has started, I don't know if crippling's the right word, but Sony has started to really segment out their cameras even more so than they were in the beginning. Of course, we've always had like the high resolution camera, the video camera, and then the hybrid. At the same time, it just feels like they're really starting to like protect cameras way more than they were in the past, in my opinion. So it kind of doesn't necessarily make me worry for Sony, but I can see, Canon for sure. Not that Canon's not already on top, but I can see them extending their lead, or maybe taking away ground that Sony's been making up, because it doesn't seem like Sony is as hungry to keep innovating. And maybe that's just where we are in the camera releases, and maybe we're going to get a lot this year, but it just feels that way, especially after the R4 announcement, or after the A7 IV announcement, just kind of dropped my confidence in what they were willing to put in their cameras at this point. Okay. Sony has always segmented their cameras. The A7 III was an anomaly. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're right here. Maybe I just don't have as long of a history with it. I do know that Sony has been known for innovating, and I mean, maybe it's just with their sensor tech, because I mean their sensor tech has been kind of, further along than most of the industry, and it makes sense because they're making sensor tech for all the cell phones and everything else. So it makes sense for them to be further along, just by sheer R&D that goes into their sensor research. At the same time, I don't know. I just feel like they're holding things back. It seems like Nikon and Canon are like the Canon R5C. I mean, I know it has its issues. They took out IBIS and things like that, but I feel like they threw the kitchen sink at that camera, and I just think that impresses me that Canon is willing to do stuff like that at this point. And Nikon with the Z9, I know they're in a different position, but man, they're just putting everything they can in it. And I know that Sony, especially on the video front, which is what people know it for, it seems like it could do a lot more. Am I crazy in saying that, or is anybody with me here? Don't know how long this delay is. So we're starting to get some more people here in the chat. Appreciate y'all all showing up, or at least more people watching. If you're here and you want to participate and talk, then absolutely send me a question, or we can go ahead and jump in and try to jump into the main topic here. You're right. So John is saying I'm right. I appreciate it. Man, so that delay for me, I think that was about about a 15 or 20-second delay, if that's what you just heard. I mean, I'm trying to pull it up on my, I do. I have it pulled up on my phone so I can like check my audio levels and stuff. I have it pulled up on my phone so I can like check my audio levels and stuff. Oh, wow, 50 seconds. That is pretty. Okay. It is pretty bad. I don't know if it's 50 seconds, but it's not that great. Um, the delay is about 50 seconds. Yeah, so that there is an issue with the delay. I think that's probably why Simon, or not Simon, David Osler. He's a really fun guy on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen him. Um, but he's really good about having the topics laid out, and he's been doing live streams a lot, and I kind of do them sporadically. But he has the topics kind of laid out, and he'll, kind of talk back and forth in the beginning, and then he will go directly to his topics, kind of talk a little bit, and he'll let the chat start to build up, and then he'll start reading underneath. That might be a format I need to adopt, at least in some way. Okay. Robert says the A793 would be interesting. The A9 has never typically had good video specs. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really hasn't. And I don't really know if it will have good video specs now. I do feel like every generation of cameras, some degree or another, has had slightly more. It's kind of started to go even more so into videos, so maybe there's just such a expectation that a mirrorless camera will have at least options video, that they will keep that. But I kind of foresee the A9 Mark III being Sony's answer to the R3 from Canon. So I don't see it being, high megapixel or anything, but I do think that they will, put about as good of video features as you can with that, with whatever their megapixel range is there. Uh, Mr. Christ said, tech questions from a non-tech person. Jason Morris had a video about the HD video being as clear as 4K on the Sony A7 IV when you are in crop APS-C mode and clear image zoomed 2 times. Is this possible? So, yeah, I saw that video myself. I don't know what's possible or not possible, but I kind of looked it up, and my thought process was, because he was talking, if I'm not mistaken, he was talking about, what was he talking about on that? Was it clearer? It was something to do with faster frame rates, if I'm not mistaken. So I can't exactly remember, but my thought process was that possibly they're doing an oversampling when it goes to 1080p. They're doing the oversampling, and in the 4K mode, or whatever 4K mode he was in, because I think it was higher. I think it was higher frame rates. I think that they might have been doing oversampling in the 1080p, and in the 4K at that particular mode they weren't. Um, so that is possible. So if you had the 4K cropped mode, maybe you wouldn't be. I don't know. I don't exactly know. I think it is possible. It could. It really could just be a software issue as well. But yeah, I'm. I remember looking that up, but it's been a couple weeks. I'd have to kind of look into that a little bit more. If any of you guys have another idea, Robert, he's very tech guy, so he usually really good with the tech side of everything. John, hope that helps. Sorry, Mr. Cryer, I wasn't able to answer it as good as I would like. John says Osler, uh, David Osler. I don't know. He's Australian. I like copying his accent as much as I can. Osler does talk a lot, then go through the comments, but he has so many comments it takes him forever to catch up. Yeah, so maybe I can try to adopt somewhat of a hybrid situation. I'm still very new to live stream. I don't necessarily think that I will be live streaming like super regularly. Right now, it's been about every 2 weeks, and it just kind of depends on what the camera news is like. If I think that there's a whole lot of camera news that I can really make one specific video, or if I'd rather have an interaction back and forth with people, because having an interaction, sometimes something sparks that wasn't, necessarily there before. Um, the A9 has never had as good video specs as the 1DX. It's just was always cost a lot less. Yeah, that's true. It really, yeah, it never really had that great on video specs, and it was odd they took out all the color profiles in the past. So that will be interesting to see if they put those in. But in the past, they didn't have like your S logs and stuff. I don't believe. So yeah, that was a little weird. Long Rider said Sony has not had to put stack sensors in all their cameras because no one else has had it up until the last 12 months. Yeah, I think that that's a large reason for it. I think at the same time, you're right. If no one else is doing it, and that's a more expensive technology for them to implement, why add that? I'm sure it's a little bit more of a extensive process and maybe in manufacturing as well. So why add that if you don't have to? So that makes a lot of sense. Glad to see you, Long Rider. You here? Are you still driving? Last time I live streamed, he was driving. Um, John John said, I wonder what's the point of the A9 series now. There's the Alpha 1. The point of the A9 at this point is a little confusing, but I think the point of the A9 is essentially the price point. The A1 is now coming in at 6,500. The A9 was always at 4,500. I can see them boosting that up to, 48.99 or 47.99 or something like that. But I think it's essentially to be able to give like an in between to people so that even if it's not necessarily, I know professionals will go pay the extra for the 6,500, but there is some prosumers who really like fast sports and wildlife cameras, or people who maybe they're professionals but they're not making 100 grand a year or plus doing photography. Maybe they make a decent little living doing extra stuff, as far as maybe they just do some subcontracting or type things or gig work. I think that that's the main thing, is just segmenting out enough that you have a break between their $3,500 cameras and a $6,500 cameras, is somewhere to add in between. Mr. Cryer, much appreciated. Oh well, thank you. I appreciate the question and keep them coming. uh, John, the A9 and 24 megapixels is still better than the A1 in a lot of low light situations. I shoot wildlife every day, often in poor condition, no, poor lighting conditions. Sorry, I just messed with you. I know that was a typo. And get much less noise than with a higher megapixel camera. Yeah, low light is going to be an issue as well, at least until they start adding that particular technology that is in that whatever their new stacked sensor. I hope it works as advertised. It's pretty nuts if they can really double basically the light um, of a sensor. That's crazy, because you'll get. I think that's when the A7S III can get 8K. That's when I think you can get the A7R5 or whatever their really high megapixel camera is to get really great low light. We'll see how it comes out. More than likely, I can still just see it coming out in the A1 Mark II first and slowly trickling down, but I hope that that's not the case. Did that answer y'all's question on that? Let me know. Do we want to start talking about the R or the what is it? Oh my gosh, there's so many different ones. The Canon R1. Oh man, dude, these numbers, like, they just need to have, like, why do they not have just cool names? Like, not that they're not okay, they have like numbers and stuff, but it should just be like car companies. It should be like something like the Sony. I don't know, this the Sony Maximus or the Sony something, that it's like a word, the Sony Maverick, and then you have something like that people can just like remember, like, oh, the Ford Mustang. We know that the Mustang is the Ford. It's not like the Ford 1D2D3 7R5. Sorry, I'm going off on a side rant, but I think camera manufacturers could do better with their marketing. Do we want to talk about the Alpha 1 now, or talk about the R1 now? Does anybody know why camera manufacturers name their cameras the way they do? Is it just a tradition at this point? The Leica subscribe? The Leica subscribe? Am I missing something? Leica, I mean, on the Leica cameras. Leica subscribe. I'm not really sure. Oh, the like subscribe. Did I say that? Yeah, definitely a like and subscribe, or like a subscribe. That's funny. All right, let's get in here. That's what she said. Oh man, I'm gonna keep doing that all day. Camera name joke. Robert M. Camera names are historical. That's true, but get with the times. Somebody needs to do it. I mean, I really don't know anybody who's really changing up the naming scheme of the cameras. Like, I feel like, I mean, you have like GoPro and different action cams that do stuff like that, but you don't have like any like of the main three cameras that are actually doing anything of the sort. Okay, so let's talk about this article here. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen here. This is from Canon Rumors. A lot of you probably heard about it. Simon, he always jumps on these things, so it's hard for me to ever be like the first person to it. So if y'all watch Simon's channel, you probably heard about this. It says, according to a reliable source, thank you, Canon is testing prototypes of the following super telephotos. So these are the different focal lengths they're playing with. Which one or ones would you like to see? Apparently, according to the source, only one of these is expected to make it out of the prototype and into production. So I'm interested if it's one total, or if it will be like, since there's two 500s, or two 400s, if there's going to be more than that. But if it's just one, which one would y'all pick? I'm honestly DO cameras or do cameras. I'm really not super familiar. I'm sure that there is a historical. I'm sure there's like a historical thing with the EF cameras or EF lenses that have this type of designation, but maybe y'all can drop in comments and let me know. Some of you guys who've been with Canon longer than I've shot cameras, period. But it says, according to, so while we didn't have an RF 500 on our roadmap, supply chain. Okay, let's go down here. Interestingly, the source states that Canon hopes to announce this lens either with an actual announcement or development announcement in conjunction with the R1. The source mentions that the production delays may force Canon to do just a development announcement for the lens this year. The source is certainly implying that the R1 announcement is expected later this year. Canon certainly could do the R1 this year, especially after so firmly stating that the R3 is most definitely not their flagship mirrorless camera. and an R1 announcement later this year would be 18 months apart from the first round out with the R3, and 3 years since the development of the announcement of the 1DX Mark III. This in the past is nothing unusual, as Canon has had fairly quick turnarounds in one series. So it shows, about every 3 years that they've had, one designation cameras come out, 3 to 4 years. It looks like they kind of went up to 4 years as of recently. There is nothing historically different from the releasing the R1 this year. The only oddity would be that it's far from the next Summer Games, hopefully held in 2024, and that the major sports capability flagships are released during the Olympics years. But faced with stronger Nikon and Sony competition, Canon may be feeling the heat to release it as soon as possible. So I will go over why I think the Olympic situation has no bearing on it here in a minute. Okay. Simon never sleeps. Yeah, I know, right? I think one of the things that Simon's really good at, and so where I'm staying, this is a fairly limited space. So, this is kind of like if I was to turn the camera over, or I'm not going to turn the computer because I'm on a computer camera. But if I had the camera turned over, I mean, this is like our dinner table is over here, and this is the living room dinner, thing, and then over this direction. I mean, it's not that big of a space, and so after I get done with my videos, I kind of have to, push everything off to the corner and get everything kind of ready to go. And then when I'm ready to do my video again, it's maybe like another, 20 or so minutes setup time to get my lights in order and my camera set up, which isn't huge, but it takes a bit. Whereas I think Simon's really good. He has good space where he has his camera probably X'd out really well on where he places his camera there. He knows where his marks are. He sits down and he can just deliver the news, whether or not he has it super scripted out or not. So Simon's great. I don't know how he does all he does. He's very good at being he's very natural on camera with how he delivers things. I'm big on wanting to take out and edit a lot, and I feel like he doesn't necessarily do that. And I don't mean that in a uncomplimentary way. I admire his the way he can naturally speak to the camera very well. Okay, Nikon PF is the same as Canon DO. Not sure. I'm not following. Sorry. Okay. I've never heard of that lens designation before. It's new, I think. So it says the the RF 600 and 811 are also DO lenses. So are these going to be? So would they essentially be like more consumer friendly versions of the telephoto lenses? Because why would they release that with the R1? To me, that they seem like they would be releasing like a more expensive telephoto lens with the R1. I don't know. That makes the most sense to me. If you're here in the chat and you have not yet, hit that like if you don't mind. If you're not subscribed, shameless plug, please do that as well. Definitely helps out the channel. It's funny. We had 10 people watching. As soon as I asked somebody to subscribe, drop down, or not subscribe. Yeah, subscribe. Drop down 2 people, 3 people now. So I think people sometimes don't like promotion, but it is a part of life in YouTube. Okay, so excuse me. Okay, John says those F11s don't have DO in the name. Their STM for stepping motor. L means luxury. DO must mean something, but I don't know what. A slight step below L? Yeah, maybe it's like an in between, or maybe it's better. I don't know, like domination. I don't know. What would a DO mean? Uh, yeah, I'm not sure what DO would mean. Do it. I mean, I know it doesn't mean do it because they don't ever have normal things. Um, okay, DO means smaller and lighter due to Fresnel. I don't know. Can't say the word. Lens elements. Fresnel. Maybe. Yeah, that's probably what he's saying. But I think that would have an A. But Fresnel lens elements. Robert, your knowledge of. Okay, cool. Uh, so would you consider that to be an in between of the L and the STM? Would you think that as far as the price point goes and who it's designed for, would you expect it to be that? Okay. So what is the benefit of having that type of optics in your lens? What does it do differently? I mean, it always usually is it something to do with the speed of it or the way it rolls into focus, or does it have like a um a certain different kind of what is the word? Different kind of bokeh that it adds to it? Is there something of that nature that it adds that way? Okay. So the EF 400 f4 is a do is an L lens. Do is an L lens. Okay. So maybe the DO lens or do lens. Okay. The only benefits are size and weight. So essentially, I guess they're smaller. Okay, cool. Well, I think that a lot of people are happy for smaller lenses, especially from Canon. they they tend to be chunky. Good, but chunky. Um I actually just purchased. I sold my Sony A7 Sony A7. My Sony A70 to 200 f4 and I am getting the Tamron 35 to 150 f2 to 2.8. So I'm pretty excited about that. I did hear that they may not have the gyro data for Catalyst, which I'm kind of disappointed in if that's the case, because it does not have lens stabilization. So that's kind of a doubter. But I'm going to do that, and I'm probably going to sell my Sigma as well. So I just have two lenses. I'll have two lenses because I'm traveling. I have my tickets to Vietnam set up. We are going June 1st. Oh, my phone just died. Okay, so do y'all want to know why I think this year makes sense? I'm sure some of y'all might have heard this before. But this makes the reason 2022 World Cup. So this right here is the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. I want to say am I saying that right? November 21st to December 18th, 2022. That is the event that if they can bring out the R1, at least in prototype form, they are going to be bringing it out for this event. That's what makes sense to me because essentially the Olympic schedules have been all weird. I think that the R3 was the R1. I still think that that's the case. And with that, I think that with that, I think that uh, like they said, that maybe they were somewhat surprised, or the competition at least is a little further along in some ways with their megapixel counts, and they want to step it up. And they've said multiple times, "This is not our flagship. This is not our flagship." I don't think that they want to wait until the 2024 Olympics, essentially. So I think that this makes the most sense, or yeah, it'd be 2024 Olympics. I want to go with that. I want to say that that's the case. Yeah. I think that they don't want to wait for that, because that would be a while to not have a flagship, on the market. So I think what makes sense is for them to release this one for the World Cup, even if it's a shorter lived R1, and the R1 Mark II comes out faster. I think this is the only event that makes sense to me. It's still on the world stage. It's still a big, huge deal. I mean, crazy amount of crazy amount of people watch this event. So I think, to me, this is the event that they're bringing the R1 out for. And if they miss this event and it doesn't come out for this event, or isn't at least a prototype for this event, then I think we're not going to see it for a longer time. But that is the reason I don't think that Canon Rumors was picking up that the World Cup is the end of this year, because I think that makes complete sense for Canon. Am I crazy? Always. Cutter. Okay. Thank you, Robert. Um. Yeah. Size, weight. Okay. Cutter. 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 Okay. Qatar is actually pronounced Kutar, as in welcome back. I think maybe some of these references are going over my head, John. So does that make sense to you guys, that the World Cup is the reason why it would be coming out? Mr. Cryer said, "Great song." Um, is there? Does that make sense to y'all? Because that seems obvious to me, that if you're going to have a flagship camera um, before the new Olympics, it's going to be on that world stage right there, the World Cup. I mean, it's watched by a crazy amount of people. I think it's perfect for a flagship camera to come out. And if they haven't had their, flagship yet, and the R3 isn't that camera, then this year makes sense for the flagship to come out for that event. I don't think Canon Rumors picked up on that. People leave. People are like, okay, I got the meat of it. I'm done. I'm out. Y'all agree, disagree, have a completely different idea of when it could come out? Let me know. I've always disagreed with you about the R3 was supposed to be the R1. I think the R1 will be a very different camera. Maybe you're right. I mean, I think the R3, that is a conspiracy somewhat. It's funny though, because Frono's photo, or he Jared Poland, he put on there, he talked about, I think he was like, Steven believes that the R3 was really going to be the R1, and then they saw what Sony and them were doing, and they fast tracked it or whatever. I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny. But I don't know. Maybe I am wrong about it, but at least we can all agree that right now the R3 is taking the place of what the R1 is. I mean, there's no way to say that it's not, the flagship camera. I keep doing this improvement. I'm done. I've done that too many times. This love stream. There's no reason to say that it's the flagship camera right now. So whether or not it is what the R1 was anticipated to be, or it was always going to be the R3, either way, it is performing the duty of the R1. Let's just say that. Or it is a follow up to the 1DX. It makes the most sense. that it's a follow up. I mean, that's what it's being used for. Now, as far as the biggest thing that's against that idea is that they don't have dual Safe Express Type B cards. That's the one thing that to me knocks that idea down a peg for sure. What you say you think that the R1 is going to be a very different camera? Why do you think that the R1 is going to be a very different camera, Robert? I said that like I'm like upset with you. I'm not upset with you. John says, "You're so young. Welcome back, Cotter. It was a very popular 70s TV show that brought us John Travolta." Okay, well, I know John Travolta. And welcome back, Cotter. Kind of sounds familiar now that you've said it. Uh, but yeah, I don't think I've ever actually seen it. I've seen Grease. uh, that was a long pause. I was hoping the chat would catch up so I could talk for a second, but so I could have some interactions. Long Rider came in for one comment and then he just left. He could be driving again. So the R3 is not as rugged as the 1DX. I feel that the R1 will be bigger and more rugged like the Z9. Yeah, I think that it's possible. I think that it is possible that that's the case, but I do think that the R3, I mean, it seems like a mirrorless version of 1DX. And what I mean by that, even if it's not as big and rugged, it is still super weather sealed, and it does have the same gripping as the R1 or R1DX. I think that it looks like a futuristic 1DX. So in my mind, it looks like what a mirrorless 1DX should look like, because mirrorless cameras really do not need to be as big as a mirrored camera, DSLR camera. So I don't know. It looks like the more futuristic progression of the 1DX to me. But you could be right, especially now considering that the Z9 did come out and is still, or seems like it's going to be a major success for Nikon. Maybe they will make it quite a bit bigger like that, and I mean that would definitely give them some headroom to be able to perform. So with that being said, if you think that it is going to be a bigger body, what kind of performance are y'all thinking that the R1 can have? I personally think that 40 frames per second is definitely not going to be out of the question as far as stills go. If you put two of the same chips that are in the R5 and you have it somewhere in the neighborhood of a 45 to 55 megapixel sensor, it seems like you could get 40 frames per second stills out of this camera. Howard said, the big thing about the R1 is the quad pixel autofocus. Yeah, I would assume that if they're going to put that quad pixel autofocus in any of the cameras, it's going to be the R1. I do not speak Spanish. Saldosa dice España. I do not speak Spanish. Sorry for that. No hablo español. I mean, I speak like very minimal Spanish. Like I can say like gracias and de nada, hola, ¿cómo estás? Muy bien. I can say like the very, very basics, and I probably messed those up. But I appreciate you showing up, and always appreciate it. OM1 already has the quad pixel autofocus. Yeah, right. I do feel like they did beat them from there. Hello from Spain. Well, hello there. Welcome from Spain. España. Okay, okay. Yes, that makes sense now. Yeah, I'm starting to like read, not read, but like break things down. Hello, not welcome. Hello from Spain. Welcome from Spain. Hello, not welcome. I'm confused. You are welcome here. I don't think that's it. Kind of came off, John, like you were saying you're not welcome. You are welcome here. I don't John did not mean it that way. I know John, I know John from YouTube, and he is a very kind-hearted man, so he didn't mean it that way. I think he was trying to translate everything back over. Um ah, that's funny because it's not it's funny to me because the J makes an H sound, and so it's ha 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 ha, but with the J. You corrected. Yeah, I know what you meant, John. I know you didn't mean it that way. It just when I read it, it kind of sounded like hello, not welcome. Like that's how I read it. I was like, wait. John, what are you saying? That's me. No, I knew that wasn't what you meant, John. I was just letting Alfonso know. That's interesting. So, truly, in Spain or in the Spanish language, when you put like the laughing thing instead of doing HA, do you do JA? Like it makes sense now. I just never thought of it. That's a I never really thought that JA was going to be. I mean, ha ha ha. I mean, it makes sense that you would put JA if you're speaking Spanish, but it went over my head. I never would have thought of it. I think I've even seen people put JA, and I just never understood until you said, you were speaking Spanish and then did that. That's pretty awesome. Um, sorry, Robert, I kind of brushed over what you said. Yeah, they did bring the quad pixel autofocus. If I'm not mistaken, they did bring that to the OM1. Has anybody seen really real world results on how the OM1's autofocus is working? It seems to be doing well, and from the tests that I saw, but a lot of that's just test units really early on, and not that it's not accurate representation, but I just don't feel like people have enough time to do like proper tests and to really put it through its pronunciation. Yeah, yeah. J is pronounced H or he in Spanish, like Jose. Yeah, or jalapeno. If you JA is ha, so but JA with it's JAP, right? Jalapeno. So if you just put JA, it would be ha. Am I wrong, Alfonso? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's and maybe you're saying the same thing, but like jalapeno starts with the JA, so if you're doing ha ha ha, then it would be JA. I don't know how this camera topic turned into a how do you put the laughing in Spanish? Alfonso, correct us if we're wrong. Well, we're coming up on an hour. Is there anything? I'm going to at the very end of this clip, or at the very end of this video, I'm gonna try to get like about a 2 or 3 minute clip out of this thing, and so I can post that later. Uh, so, uh, so that being said, if you towards the very end, after I, say peace out or whatever, and when we talk, then I'm going to do like a 2 or 3 minute clip. I'm going to try to clip that out and hopefully get that posted tomorrow, because one of the things about the live streams, I really enjoy doing them. Sometimes they grow the channel and stuff, but they don't really have that long of a shelf life, because people don't necessarily want to click on and watch a live stream. I mean, I do it, but people don't really want to watch a live stream all the time if it's not live. So it doesn't seem to have that, and I'm not very good about keeping on topic. I kind of like to make it very informal, so that's part of it as well. So I will at the very end of this thing clip out a couple of seconds here. Yeah, Canon La R3, yeah. Sorry, Alfonso. I'm not catching that. Uh, Okay, so good. Okay, I'm not going to try to translate. Maybe John knows more Spanish than I do. It looks like he's typing things in Spanish, so he probably knows more Spanish than I do. Do y'all, before I sign out here, do y'all have any things, other topics that y'all want to talk about? Do you have, what is your thoughts on the um what is your thoughts on what I said about, do y'all agree with the World Cup thing? Is that something that, do y'all think that the R1's coming out for the World Cup? They say it's a CR2, that lens is coming, and they seem to imply that the R1 is coming alongside it. Um, Canon Rumors is shocked by that. It makes sense to me. But does the World Cup make the most sense to you guys, or do you think that maybe the R1 is still a couple years away and we won't see it until the next Olympics, possibly? Or, maybe the year of the Olympics, even if it's not right up at the year. Canon works so good. Good. Okay. Yeah, they do good. I appreciate Canon cameras. I think that they aren't the most complicated cameras, which is a good thing. I love the way their touchscreens work. I think that Canons do stuff that just makes sense sometimes when you're using them. Like, it feels more intuitive to use than any other camera company that I've used personally. It just feels like, oh, I want to do this. How would I do it? You like it. It just feels like whatever you're thinking it should work as, it makes sense the way it works. Like, oh, I want to touch the screen and zoom in here, or whatever the case is, or focus here. It just does it. Or, hey, I want to switch my ISO, and so I touch the screen, I can move my ISO. It makes the most uh, it makes the most sense to me in that way. The world, uh, yeah, in that way. Robert, I read that as the R3 is already a flagship. Yeah, I think the R3. I mean, you read what is the R3 is a flag? I mean, Canon's been saying it's not their flagship, but I mean, I think most people hear it as their flagship. Canon cares about their customer. Robert says, my Spanish is terrible. Baxter, I don't speak Spanish. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not saying that they do or don't. I've only had one major experience with Canon customer service. I mean, it was a good experience for what it's worth. That was your translation. Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, okay, I got it. uh, that wow went over my head there. See my hair. Wait, it's weird because it's the mirror image. That's the wind going over my hair is when things go over my head. Um, yeah, I only had one experience with a customer service. There's somebody, I can't think of their name. They're on they come on Simon's live stream quite often. The Ordinary Filmmaker. And he talks about Sony being the more customer service based camera, or at least they seem like they've been doing that for a while now, being able to be in touch with you know vendors and people of that nature. So I was kind of surprised to hear that that's what they're doing, and they're doing it really well. Um, but I assume that Canon really cares about their customers as well. In order to be a camera company as long as they have, then obviously it seems like it makes sense. John says ease of use is Canon's greatest strength. To me, it is Canon's greatest strength, because I mean, don't get me wrong, Canon is very good at a lot of things it does. in the past, I would say that Canon usually isn't pushing the envelope as much with at least sensor tech. Now, granted, like the 1DX was great and ahead of its time. I think they were the first ones that put uh, HD video into a DSLR camera. So, I mean, they definitely have pushed the industry forward at different times. But I do think that overall, the reason why Canon has built up so much trust with the consumers is that it is that ease of use factor. It's the factor that it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a professional. When you pick up that camera, the experience you have is going to be a good experience. It'll be a better experience if you know what you're doing. But even if you don't know what you're doing, it encourages you to learn, and it makes it feel like it doesn't feel so overwhelming that you don't get better. Whereas if I just started and I picked up a Sony camera, I mean, it's all kind of relative because if you really want to learn and you're dedicated to it and it's something that you have a good reason behind why you want to learn, or maybe you just want to express yourself in that kind of with the camera, that's your artistic medium, that's different. But let's just say I'm somebody who, I think it's really cool to take some pictures, but I'm not super dedicated to it. I look at Sony kind of like I look at people who play the guitar. A lot of times people love the idea of playing the guitar, uh, but when they play the guitar, when they pick up the guitar, their fingers hurt, they suck at first, and they've just put down the guitar. I mean, I know how to play guitar. I'm not great at it, but I've seen that experience happen a lot where people say, "Oh, I want to learn the guitar," and they pick up a guitar and it's more complicated than they think it is, and there's pain involved. I think of Sony kind of like that. You pick up a Sony camera, or at least one of their more high end mirrorless cameras, even the A7 IV. I would assume I've never used it, but whatever, you know what I mean. The menus, the dials, everything. It looks like a foreign language. It looks like you're gonna have to learn it. Once you do learn it, I think Sony's strength is that it gives you so many amazing options that for color profiles, and it is really good tech. You can do a lot of things, like certain things with Canons have bothered me, like the white balance issue, or not white balance, the exposure issue, not being able to pick uh, what part of the image you want exposed on, or at least your screen to show the exposure, was odd. It was an odd exception, or odd exemption in video. I was completely shocked when I first got my Canon because I was like, oh, why can't I? Oh, why is it not exposing from my face properly? On the meter, it was just confusing. I bet you just kind of had to learn to work with it, but that was annoying. Okay. Uh, that was my okay. So the R3 is one of the easiest cameras that I ever used. That shocked me at the level of camera. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. I mean, I've never used it, Robert, but that doesn't surprise me at all. Okay. So we're coming up on it's an hour and 8 minutes. And so I'm going to try to just do like a brief 2 to 3 minute breakdown on why I think that the R3 is, or sorry, the R1. I'm going to mess up. I know I am. Kind of like I did before. I'm going to try to like do like a little brief thing here at the end so that I can clip this out and either probably post it tomorrow, because I don't feel like last time I kind of held on to it and I used it for like a week that was like super busy. I didn't have time, so I just uh, put it up there. But I definitely want to. I don't want to be lazy with it. like I don't think that is necessarily the best representation of a video. Like I like to make two seemingly high quality videos, or about as high quality videos as I can with the time allowed. So I don't necessarily feel that it is, but as an extra video, I think it's good to clip these things out because, like I was saying earlier, live streams do okay. Okay, so John said custom white balance in Canon is a pain, and you're right about video exposure. Yeah, that is annoying. It was terrible. Okay, so maybe they did fix it uh, with the custom white balance is easy in the R3. Maybe hopefully they did fix it. I hope they have fixed the exposure issue as well. I'm sure they did in the R5C because I'm sure there's different things options that they have with their cinema cameras. But golly, it's so terrible. It's weird. Uh, John is agreeing. Said the World Cup would be a perfect place for the prototype R1. Good, yeah. So you agree. Um, Robert, do you concur? Do you think that that is a good place for the R1, or do you think um, I'm off by saying that? Because I'm actually about to say that in my 2 minute clip, and and so uh, and so I don't know. Just I don't want to necessarily completely go out on a limb here if I'm not necessarily have any basis for reality. Okay, want to stick around? You can, but in case you don't, I'll go ahead and say my goodbye here. But here's me trying to do a quick 2 minute thing for the clipping out situation. Okay. Oh wait, Robert's talking. World Cup makes sense for the R1, but I still do not think so. You're wrong. I'm just kidding. Thanks a lot, Alfonso, for showing up. Appreciate it. Uh, well, I appreciate you being here, Alfonso. And Robert, you could be right. I could be completely off base. But if they're coming out this year with it, that makes the most sense. I really don't think that 2023 makes sense at all. So either they're going to be, in my mind, they're either coming out. I mean, it could be prototype and then come out early 2023. That's not the point I'm making. But if they're coming relatively in this year, then I think that the World Cup is what it's going to be for. Okay, let me try to see if I'm. Let's see if I mess up. I contested the Z9 at the Summer Olympics last year, right? And then they came out. Ooh, well, last year. Okay, yeah, you confused me. But yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm still in 2021. Yeah, so they tested at the Summer Olympics, and then they were out by December. So I can see if the World Cup though is in November and December, then that's prototype in there, and it could be launching like February, January. So they might do like an announcement. They might do the full on announcement so it doesn't leak and stuff. Um, but they might do a development announcement, say it's going to be there in prototype form, and then do the full announcement early, like a February thing, possibly like around CP Plus and all that. Okay. Whew. Hey everyone, welcome. Hey everyone, welcome to Moving Matt. We do all things cameras with a dash of vlogs and a little bit of travel. And today I want to talk about the Canon EOS R1. I've been doing a live stream here, and I think I know the reason why the Canon EOS R1 is coming out in 2022. So apparently, Canon Rumors has a CR2 saying that there is going to be a lens coming out that is supposed to coincide with the announcement of the Canon EOS R1. And they are shocked. I'm going to pull up the article really quick. All credit goes to Canon Rumors here. I will try to drop a link here. If not, Canon Rumors is a great site to get your stuff because they are very accurate. And when they're not accurate, they let you know that, hey, maybe this is not going to be a great thing. But if they got it from a great source, then they're very accurate. So let me jump over here to share the screen. And we've been talking back and forth in the chat. And I think most people kind of agree that this makes sense. And this is my theory here. So now I'm messing up. Let me see. Maybe I can cut some of this. Okay. Let's see. So right here is the article. It talks about how this particular DO lens is going to be coming out. They have one that's working in prototype, and underneath it, they say that it will be in conjunction with the R1 announcement. Now, they said that it's not necessarily something that is shocking, considering that the R3 or at least the 1DX and that have came out, like historically it's came out somewhere around 3 years difference, and even 2 years difference right here with the one designation of a camera. But usually it is coinciding with the Olympics more. So right here you have, he says that the Canon R1 releasing this year, historically different. He said the oddity would be that it is far from the Summer Olympic Games, hopefully held in 2024. And that is a major sports capable flagships are released during Olympic years. But facing with stronger Nikon and especially Sony competition, Canon may be feeling the heat to release it as soon as possible. So that is an interesting question, and I will show you what I think the answer is. The reason I think that it is coming out in 2022 and makes the most sense is that the World Cup is coming in 2022, and that is another major sporting announcement. It will be from November 21st of this year to December 18th, and that makes sense for me. Now, what I think is going to happen, I think that what I think is going to happen is that more than likely it will come out in a prototype form for the 2022 Olympics 2022 World Cup, but I do not necessarily think that it's going to be coming to the consumers at the end of this year. Could be wrong. But what I can see it coming, especially since that is late in the year, I can see them maybe doing a development announcement or even a full announcement, but it's in prototype form at this year's World Cup, and then maybe we get it in the consumer's hands, the full announcement of when the release date's going to be, maybe in January, February. We hear about that, and then it's probably going to be like all the other cameras where it's truly released a few months after that. So that makes the most sense to me. I do think it is coming at the end of 2022, and I think that that's the sporting event that they're aiming for. If you've liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Next time, try to join us on our live streams. I do them about every other week. It's usually going to be on a Saturday. And if you like this channel, be sure to subscribe. And until next time, peace. Okay, there we go. How'd I do? Was that pretty good? Do you think I had too many ums and ahs? Did I mess up too much? If I have to, I will. I can edit a few things. But I sometimes I like to keep things natural too, not just over edit. I still see people here. I feel really odd doing. Usually I'm not. I edit a lot, so a lot of times. Well, I don't want to say my secrets, but you can tell probably when I edit my videos when I've messed up. But I do edit a lot, so to just talk for 3 or so minutes without uh, without having to edit is was kind of hard. Okay. Um I'm going to be signing out here. We've been going for about an hour and 10 minutes. I don't see anybody else commenting here. I really appreciate everybody showing up. Thanks for that. Look, being this just one real flub at the beginning behind the curtain. Oh, thanks for the look behind the curtain. Uh, just one real flub at the beginning. Yeah, there was. Maybe I should edit that a little bit. That's really probably the better look behind the curtain because I'm usually not that like I said, I usually edit it quite a bit more. So it's a little bit different for me. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. I really do. I love this community. you guys keep me honest. Y'all know so much more about cameras than I do, and y'all are always great, gracious with your knowledge. I appreciate you teaching me multiple things. So thank you for being here. Um, if you are here and you happen to have not subscribed, I very much appreciate that as well. If not, I just appreciate you being here and being a part of the community either way. So I will see you back next week. I will probably clip that out and post that tomorrow. So you guys might not want to watch that video, but if you do, that'd be great too. But until next time, enjoy your weekend and peace.